Hi everyone. I'm going to share this screen here, but welcome. Today we're going to continue on. We're still around the first week or two of energy balancing. We're going a little bit slower, just so that we don't have to rush, but so that makes sure everybody understands this. So yeah, here we go. Um, so first of all, though, I just want to remind everyone that whatever struggles you're going through, um, it's important that we talk to God and ask Him for insights and light, so that we could accept His will. Sometimes we don't understand why things happen, but they do, um, and we find ourselves being upset and sad because we're resisting the lessons that he's giving us. Okay, I know that for myself. When things change, I think, yeah, I accept it, but do I really? And then I muscle test, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm still sad or worried or grieving this, and that's okay. You can take your time to grieve, take your time to adjust. Right. So, just something simple like, my girls going back to America, doing their thing, going to uni and all that. That's fine. I'm like, yeah, I already prepared. I was accepting it. And then I just kind of uh, felt down. Um, and I'm like, that's months ago that they went. And that's something that I shouldn't feel so sad about. But yeah, I just had to um, muscle test and find out deep down inside, what is there anything else? And sometimes it doesn't surface till later. Yeah. And so when I muscle test, I found some things and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm still grieving this. And at first I was irritated with myself because I'm like, come on, it's like something very simple to get over. But then I remember, no, I don't have to be a perfectionist. I have to be kind to myself and let the process pass. And there's generations of people whose energy is coming through me that just needs time. Yeah. And this is the lesson that God wants me to learn, so just be patient. Anyways, that's one thing I wanted to share. So like I developed a little rash here, just like irritation with myself. um but yeah, I just need to give myself more time to heal. Yeah. Anybody have any experiences like that?
Oh, definitely. With just what we've experienced with Nev over the last week, I've had days where I'm just so alive with gratitude and just, I've really felt almost guilty that I felt so good. Just that peace knowing he was going to be okay. But then, like yesterday, he was just a bit melancholy.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, okay, I just need to work through this. But yeah.
Yeah.
And I just didn't really want to do much. And I'm feeling guilty that I'm not getting into this or getting into that. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I just need some time. That was just massive what we went through.
For sure, for sure. It kind of
Yeah,
settles and then you have to deal with it. And you feel like
yeah,
you're this roller coaster and you're like, I don't want to be
exactly.
that crazy person, like happy, sad, happy, sad. Um, yeah, that's exactly 100% me, Lucy. I didn't want to do
Yeah,
it yesterday. I had a beautiful session and then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna sit around now. I'm like, okay.
yeah.
I just, my husband did all the laundry and I just sat there and I stared at it and I didn't want to fold it. I just sat. And I'm like, oh my
Oh,
gosh.
good. Now I don't feel so bad.
No, it's just so weird now. I'm like, I should remind people, I should all this, I should. And I'm like, no, just sitting. So yeah, that's what I mean. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just mad at myself for sitting and feeling guilty for just sitting around. And um, but this morning I woke up and I just really felt like, Jade, just be patient and kind and forgiving of yourself. There's time to do stuff. The Lord will help you. You don't have to have everything done at the right time. Everything's perfect. Everything is working really well. Um, yeah. So yeah, I'm with you, Lucy. There's days that you're so grateful. Thank you, thank you. Oh my goodness, I am so
Mm.
blessed. I'm so blessed. And then it's just like processing, but it's like right before something really good happens, you feel down. It's like preparing you and carving out that capacity for greater joy. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's us and our friends that are sick and they've got challenges. It's uh, yeah, preparing us for more joy. So however the lesson looks, I think our big challenge is to hold hands with God, accept the journey, make peace with our humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, and move on and just be okay with all this imperfection. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, thank you so much for sharing, Lucy. That's awesome. Yeah. So, guys, on the screen, you can see that this is how we start with the muscle testing. So we always start with the sway test first because it's the easiest, and most people get this. Once in a while, we have people who sway the opposite, or just opposite of what they want. So I just run my fingers with the balance oil up and down, just down their forehead and all the way back down their spine, and just a few times just to help the flow. And then somehow they just readjust, and then you have sway forward for yes, and then sway backwards for no. So that fixes the problem. But yeah, just once in a while that will happen. So if you try to show this to somebody and then that happens to them, you're like, oh, let's reset a little bit. Yeah, and then when you're good at that, you can start practicing the ring and ring, or finger and ring, or even the arm. It's harder to do the arm just on yourself. So you can do that on other people, but that's muscle testing, trying to get into the subconscious, trying to figure out, is there a deeper thing to this issue? And sometimes we're like, oh, it's the food I'm eating. Or maybe it is the food, but is it the emotions attached to the food? I know so many people eating super healthy, organic, just straight from their garden and everything. They're slim, and they're great in that way, but there's there's all these sicknesses and skin issues that they have, and they don't understand why. So yeah, there's just, even if you're eating healthy, sometimes you have a negative emotion attached to it too. So we have to make sure that it's not just physical, it's emotional and spiritual as well. Okay, anybody want to say anything about this? You got this down? Got the muscle testing down? Okay.
Yep.
Yep. All right. So these are the things we can't test and things that we can test. So we can test anything that has to do with emotions, or family patterns. You can say, oh, do I feel this way? And sometimes you go, oh, I really do, but I don't at the same time. And there's this weird conflict, right? But I understand that I should, this, but I still feel this way, and it doesn't make sense. And when it doesn't make sense like that, it's because we have this internal conflict. The conflict is, you've got your family DNA and energy, and then you have you, right? You know stuff, but you still sabotage yourself and whatever anyways. And so once you find out where it comes from, it'll make more sense. You can say, oh yes, from mum's side, 5 generations, yep, all these women are kind of like this. Yeah, I don't want to be like that, and I intentionally try not to be. But gosh, I guess it's still inside of me, and that's okay. These poor people need your help. Right? They just need you to be there for them and release some of these silly things. So you reason with yourself, tell yourself conscious, this is something that I need to get rid of. This is not something that's helpful and supportive. And then, once you reason with yourself, no, and I like to reason with gospel principles and things that a truth that Jesus has taught, okay, because those are solid truth that you can anchor in, then it releases. Okay. And because we're relying on the power and grace of God, it's more powerful and it sticks. Okay. And then, of course, when you're there, you find a positive replacement to the negative things that you've been thinking about or that your ancestors have been thinking about. Okay. So you can find out essential oils, food, supplements that is good for you or it's not good for you. You can test. Okay. Say, this loaf of bread, is this good for me? Yes. How good from the scale, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being lousy, 10 being great. Okay, you can just test away and find out how good it is. Or this oil, do I need this now? Yes. How many drops? Where do I put it? Do I put it on my upper body, lower body, topical? Do I take it internal? You can ask all those questions. Okay, and that's so good because we have mothers who really struggle with their kids' health problems, and they don't know what to do. They've taken their kids to so many specialists, and it takes so much time and money, and then this specialist says this, and that specialist says that, and your child changes from day to day. So you can test. You can say, does this child still need this supplement or this thing today? Maybe not. And when I showed this one mom, she was like just over the moon, super happy because all her kids are allergic to so many things. Allergists and naturopaths have told her this or this or that. And then she's got a huge regimen of all these things. And she's like, oh my gosh, like it's so much stuff to remember and deal with. And I said, well, when you take out all the stuff, the naturopathic stuff and, all of these things, you can just put it down and then just muscle test, does my child need this right now? It might be good for that child, and that naturopath probably thinks that that's good for that child. But right now, does that child need this? And then it's yes, yes, no, no, yes, yes. And then for sure. It's so comforting, right? My friend, her child had an allergic reaction, and then they caught something like a cold or something, and then they're just so sick, and she had to take them to the hospital, and she was like, oh my gosh, like one thing after the next, and then the next child got it all, and she's like, I don't know if it's this or this or this. You can ask, is this a fungus? Is this a bacteria? Is this a virus? You can find out. So your body can tell you these things, and especially mums, this is just revelatory. Another time I had a daughter that didn't like to do dishes and that was her chore. And, I thought, well, every week, whenever it's dish time, she doesn't do her dishes, but she does all her other chores just fine. And this is really odd. And then, I muscle tested the emotions, and then we had a good chat about it. And then she went ahead and did her chores just fine. But we just had to resolve it. So yeah, I mean, instead of arguing and just, she probably doesn't know why she has an aversion to that. And then when you explore it together, it was so helpful and so loving. Okay. So yeah, there's so many ways, and we can talk forever, but just so you know that this is just amazing that you have this ability and skill, and people don't recognize that you're intuitive already, and you have access to your subconscious already that you didn't know. I had a guy who says, oh, I have to pay this person to do hypnotherapy for me, and it works. And then I stay really, really good and healthy and happy for like a month, and then I relapse, and I think I know why. Okay. What do you guys think? The hypnotherapy taps into the subconscious, and then he talks about stuff, and then he relapses. Um, who who wants to guess why he relapses?
Because it wasn't him tapping into his subconscious, it was the hypnotherapist.
Yep, excellent, exactly. He needed to participate fully and actively in his own healing. Yep, exactly. So, if he goes, oh, I found this, it's like empowering. Like you found this thing, or if your friend helps you find it and you go, yeah, and you participate with your friend. You did a session with Celine yesterday, and we just talked about, hey, this, and then she's like, I think it's because of this and this and this, and we had a discussion about it. It's so nice. instead of going, you have this, resolve it. And or somebody else doing energy healing, you have this, and wish woo, clean it out. Bye. That's very passive. And that person hasn't been actively involved in their healing. It's never going to heal completely because they haven't actively removed it. They haven't actively chosen to change from it. Right. Yes, if I have this feeling of anxiety, I'm going to choose to feel confident. I'm going to choose to feel hopeful, whatever I choose for myself. And that is empowering. Okay. So this is exciting that you can find out for yourself, or someone else can help you, and then help you discover it and discuss it. Yeah. So for example, you can ask whether you have a false belief or false negative thought about something or not. I might be driving and I might be feeling some feelings, and I'm like, oh, I can see a pattern. Oh, do I have a false belief about this topic or this thing? And then I'm muscle testing myself one-handed. I'm like, oh yes, I do. Who knew? Where is this from? From mom's side. Yep, I can see that. And then release, and I can just talk to myself as I drive, like, I'm gonna choose to be kind to myself or whatever, and release that. Okay, it's very empowering. It's you being just humble and teachable, and you can change. Okay. Yep, muscle test whether something's good for you or not. You can have a piece of clothing that is made from this, synthetic fabric or whatever. You can muscle test if it's good for you or not. Okay. Or anything that's related to the mind, the body, and spirit. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah. I'm dealing with this right now because Nev's always been on the Lifelong Vitality, and he's been taking the MetaPower capsules for the last MetaPower for ages, but no, sorry, Lifelong Vitality for ages, and
Yep.
MetaPower probably the last maybe 3 months.
Yep.
And now that, like, there is a warning there about interacting with warfarin, and so it's kind of got me a bit anxious about it. He hasn't gone back on anything yet.
Yep.
Just because he's on meds to stabilize everything.
Yep.
And so I'm a little bit nervous about not so much the Lifelong Vitality, because he's been on that for years and not reacted or. But what's interesting is he was put on antibiotics so that he got that really nasty chesty bug, and he's always got to be careful with anything in the lungs. And this antibiotic has the potential to disrupt warfarin levels, and we're probably both feeling that that's what did it, and that he's not been regularly checking his levels. He's a bit naughty, so he's learned a bit of a lesson here. But yeah, it's having that confidence to put him back on it.
Yeah, no, for sure. You take as long as you need to. You can pray about it.
Yeah.
Keep muscle testing. Am I right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's weird, but sometimes you see these warnings, and doTERRA is right to put those things in, right?
Yeah.
But what if your body needs it and asks for it, right? So we just need to be okay with it. I've had people tell me, oh, I'm allergic to orange, and I'm like, well, then don't use orange. But there's no protein in our wild orange. But just to be safe, don't worry about it, use something else. And then no, I muscle test it, I can use it. And I'm like, well, it's up to you, it's your body. And they were fine. And this one lady, seriously, she was fine, and she was like, I'm so energized and all these things. And I was thinking about why would somebody be allergic to orange? Looking at the orange emotion, they always think that they're time poor or whatever it is. And then the orange tells them, wild orange tells them, you have abundant time, you have abundant energy, and so if they fully accepted it and they're not resisting it, then yeah, go for it. So we could be allergic to healthy things. Like, why would people be allergic to trees and flowers that are natural? It's just us having these associations. So there's times when these things they, even though they're good, we react to them because we reject what it's trying to do for us. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Even supplements, even the like doTERRA lifelong vitality pack, it's amazing, but I've had friends take it and they're like, oh, I just feel really sick, and I'm like, that's so weird. And I think, oh yeah, I get it, that your body's releasing a lot of the toxins that you've had in your body, but I think also their body's resisting the blessing, the love, the change, because it's about nurturing. And when they're not used to nurturing and it's too much for them, their body just rejects it and then pushes it away as much as it can. So that's really interesting. You know, even if it's not doTERRA, it's like other things that, like my friend is allergic to spinach, not just greens. So she only can eat spinach, she says, but other greens she can't. Um, and I was like, that's so weird. And we tested, and it was just she doesn't feel lovable, so she can't receive love. She can't receive the nurturing. And when people nurture her, it's like, no, I don't deserve it. So we had to kind of clear that. Yeah, so we've got to work on Nev's energy as well, because it's not just him relying on these medications to keep his heart well. We need to make sure his heart is happy and receiving love, receiving nurturing, receiving revelations from God, because that's, it goes through that heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of things there. Yeah. So yeah, what we can't test. Okay, guys, can't test what's going to happen in the future. um, I had a lady say, "Oh, this here, this can be dangerous in the wrong hands," and I'm like, I guess so. Um, but yeah, we really can't test some of these things, anyways. Um, lottery numbers, what house to buy or invest in, what's winning sports team we need to go for, and other things that is impossible for a human to know. When's Jesus coming again? That's, yeah. So sometimes we could test things like I um I lost my earrings. My subconscious probably remembers where I left it last. Yeah. So I said, is my earrings in this room? Yes. And so, there's times that I've done that and I did find it. And I think it's here, I know it's here. So who knows? But another thing that we can remember is some people say, well, I don't want this to replace prayer. Have you guys heard about that before? Some people being nervous about,
No.
yeah. Lucy, have you heard that? People being
No.
really, yeah. I've had really, really, I think, Adam, strong Christians or whatever, and they think, no, we just pray, and I say, okay, that's true, but you do have power within you, okay, and God does speak through you as well. If your heart is connected to God, right, um, He could say things to us, and we need to kind of connect to that as well. So we need to do both. Yeah, we can't just say throw out prayer or keep prayer, and this all is voodoo magic, So yeah, so we have cellular memory. Scientifically, it's proven that our cells remember. Even if you're like a pianist, okay, or if you hear a tune and you start singing a song and you're like, I didn't even know that I knew that song. Yeah, it's just you have muscle memory about things. Yeah, and your subconscious is very active, whether you know it or not. Yeah, it pick up this or that, and that's why when people are in hypnosis, they remember more details, because they're just still and they're like, oh yeah, and then this around me, this is what's happening. So interesting. Yeah. Anyways, anyone have any questions about this? So keep practicing, guys, and you get better and better. Okay, it's everyone can do it. Yeah. All right. So we do a lot of symbols as humans. You know, when you put your thumbs up, you're like, hey, what does that mean? Good job, or I approve, right? When you do high five, little things are symbolic. So it's a non-verbal communication. And with this work, we want to speed things up, and so we need to have some symbols to have a quick release and help us out. So just come up with a symbol for yourself. I like to just kind of gather up that negative energy and then throw it out. Some people they like to, my friend, she likes to pull it out of her face. Some people like to shake it off. I have a friend that she's a pianist and she likes to go and it's gone, right? That's just symbol of me choosing to let this go. But I want to add another thing is I want to add you saying, if I do this, what I really mean is by the power of the atonement of God, of Jesus Christ or whatever, I release this. Sometimes I actually say those words. Sometimes I just like this. But yeah, I think it's more powerful when we include God. But it's us intentionally choosing to release. Okay, it's just making that choice and not being passive about things. All right, so a symbol is faster instead of you saying the same things over and over again. So just like that, and it's gone. So sometimes I muscle test something and I think, oh yeah, that, and then clear, and then I found another thing, and oh yep, so 3 things in a row, and then I can say my affirmations, and then I'm done. Okay, yeah. So it's just one of those things that we could do. There's lots of evidence of humans making symbols and signs to mean what we want in words, but this is just faster, non-verbal language. Yeah, we have the power to command the elements inside our bodies because we're powerful. So the symbols, it can be just as powerful. Any questions or comments? So just come up with your own.
I really like that, by the power of the atonement of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really what we're doing.
I'll often just say a similar thing, like just to the power of Jesus Christ.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So by the power of Jesus Christ, we're releasing this emotion of irritation from mom's side 5 generations back.
Yeah.
That's what I had to do yesterday for me. Yeah, just irritation with myself again. Yeah. Why am I not productive? Yeah. All right, guys. Yep, this is how we include God, okay, into our lives. Okay, so this scripture, guys, Matthew 5:48, and there's a few other scriptures that's like that. Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father, which is in heaven, perfect. So I have read several talks and things about this lately, and it's again reconfirming, but it's really good that when I first researched and studied this, that this is what God gave me. He just told me, perfect is to be whole and pure and one and sanctified, but it's not you being flawless. It's not about flawless, doing everything correctly. It's about a union with God. Okay. So as we hold hands with God, as we move forward with God, just like this little baby is holding on to, its adult, we need to always be doing that. Yeah, always, always. Okay. It's kind of like plugging into the power outlet and then staying connected. Okay. So we can have that perfect union now. Your strengths, you know, is great, but then you have all these weaknesses, and that's okay, because with God, he can take care of the rest for you. There's lots of ways that we can have this perfect union. You can say, I have this responsibility. Right now, I can do this one thing, but I have all these other responsibilities. God, can you take care of the rest while I do this thing, because I can't do all of that? Okay, that's being united with God and working with God. Or I have this many kids. Right now, I'm with this one child. Can you make sure and watch out for the other kids? Okay. Or if you have projects, you know, open cases, open projects, you can say, I need to do this right now. God, please take care of the rest for me. And sometimes when you go back to any of those things, maybe it's done, maybe something you don't need to do anymore, you know, and you realize, hey, this can wait. And it's amazing because you didn't do that. I was just telling my daughter about this. Even our subconscious has this reticular activation ability to you know, hone in on something, right, and then help us find solutions. When we speak things into the universe, sometimes the solution just comes to us without us having to do a lot of things. So say that I'm looking for a red car, right? This is actually true. We moved to Ohio, and we already had a car, but Ben drives that car to school, and I thought, I need the car if we need to, you know, go places. I can't wait until he comes home for us to go out and do things. So we only have X amount of money, but I would like a van that has automatic doors. And I just kind of started listing it out. And then I said, if I can I have it red? Because his is blue and mine's red. Boy, girl. You know, I'm just, you know, being silly, but I said that. And then within the day, I was scrolling, and then I found a car like that. And so I texted Ben, and he's like, no way. And I said, yeah. When you come home, let's go see it. And then it was a little bit above our price range. And I just thought, no, I can't afford it if it's that price. I needed to go down this price. And then we asked about that, and they're like, yeah, okay, you know, just take it. And I'm like, unbelievable. Like, the universe delivered it. But it's us that needs to say, hey, God, help. These are the details. Yeah. And maybe if you could do that, that would be great. And maybe we were inspired to do that. But all of these things, it is offered to you because it is a faith promoting experience, right? Sometimes as adults, we're like, we don't want to spoil our children. No, we don't want to give them stuff. But spoiling is only spoiling when the child is not grateful. If the child's grateful, you know, they can have plenty of things. Like, a rich child doesn't necessarily mean a spoiled child. Yeah. So it's just a matter of gratitude. And this is us practicing how to create. So I tell my kids all the time, I said, you're privileged. You have this special power. You know, ask for what you want. Ask for it. So I have a sweet experience recently. My Emily, she's a missionary right now, but she was able to be part of the missionary choir that sang for our church general conference, and she has one ticket. Every choir person has one ticket for somebody to come and watch them, and so of course she gives it to her sister. And then, you know, I was thinking to myself, I don't want my oldest daughter to drive up there by herself. And, you know, because it's a long drive and there's a lot of things, you know, when it is city, you're like, oh, I'm nervous. And she was nervous. And so I'm like, please, can we have another person that can come with her? And ideally it'll be Emily's boyfriend, you know, because that'll be great because he gets to see her. And then I thought, okay, just put that aside, you know, if it happens, whatever. And then they had a lottery because they had a few people whose family can't come, and so they had a few extra tickets. So they put it in a lottery, and people who wants an extra ticket puts their name down, and guess what? Emily got it, right? And it's just so cool that we just offer the desires of our heart to heaven. And when we are granted that, it doesn't make you spoiled, just because God has given it to you. It actually strengthens your faith, and it helps you know that God's there for you. Whether you do all the work or not, He's there for you, and you've learned to turn your heart to Him. You've learned to share your life with Him. And I always imagine myself as this little kid inside, because as kids we can't do all of it. We can't do everything, right? We have a desire for something, but all around us, God's got angels and things happening that kind of help set you up. So if we can imagine that, we can continue in the love of God. And what Satan wants us to do is feel like we're alone. You have to do all of this on your own. It's all on you. That's it. If you don't do it, nothing will happen. Nothing gets done. You're alone, right? And that's not true. It's so not true. Yeah. One last example that I want to share, and I just want you to have lots of these visuals, whichever one sticks. When my kids were little, we wanted to teach them how to cook, okay? Because we wanted to gradually make sure that they're independent adults, interdependent adults. So we made cookies together, and Michaela was 5 at the time, and she sat in front of the oven because the oven was, on the ground with the stove. So she sat there looking through that window, right, to watch the cookies cook. And she's by the time I got back, she had fallen asleep on the ground. So I picked her up, tucked her into bed, and when she woke up, we served the cookies. But this is the example of us, right? Where these people who want something, and we're waiting and waiting and waiting, and then we fall asleep, or we get distracted or something, and God still, He makes sure that we still get that. But in the meantime, he tucks us in, He takes care of us, He protects us, right? And then you get what you want in the end anyways. So I know you guys all have these experiences where it's like, oh yeah, I've always wanted that. Oh yeah, and oh, I got it. That's that little child, right? That God is loving and on and blessing. He can't help it. He's a loving God, right? He's a loving parent, and He wants to love you. All we have to do is let Him love us, and let Him be one with us. Okay? No one is beyond Him. I've had people ask me, oh, Jade, I've sinned so much. Do you think God wants to hear from me? I'm like, His love is so unconditional, right? I know 100% that He wants to hear from you. He wants to connect to you. Anytime you're ready, we can have that perfect union. Okay? You don't have to have all these skills, all these strengths, and then He can be there. No. Yeah. So I love that visual of, this child waiting for her cookies, right? That's us for everything. You want your job, your dream job, you want that your partner, you want whatever it is, okay? God's there. He's preparing a way. So because I taught this principle, I had, several kids, they start praying for their spouse. My twins are teenagers, right? And they're like, in a few years when they meet their person, but that'll be great. But that person exists right now on earth. He's somewhere out there. So they're just praying for that person and their family. Isn't that sweet? Yeah, because they know God's already preparing stuff. So I think that's really fun. All right. So peace, power, purpose. A lot of times we pray to God and we think, is He hearing us? Right? How do we know that he's hearing us? Right? How do we know that our prayers have reached heaven? So I have this alliteration to help people remember, so that they can seek it out. Sometimes our heart isn't sincere enough, right, with real intent, and that's human. That's human. Okay. So when you don't feel this peace and this power and this purpose when you're connected to God, then keep praying. Keep, allow yourself to be more sincere, um, more intentional. Okay. Um, I have people that have been Christian all their lives, and they prayed all their lives. And when I taught them this, they're like, "Oh my goodness, I don't think I've ever felt that. Maybe once or twice, but I don't think." And it's just because it's so robotic. It's like, oh, I gotta pray before I go to bed. I gotta just pray, and then when God doesn't answer their prayers or whatever, they're like, I don't, I'm not loved, I'm not worthy. But I say sometimes you need to stay on your knees. Sometimes you need to check your heart to see if you're really sincere and intentional, and send your prayers to heaven and not have it hit the ceiling and fall down again, right? um, and speak the words that is in your heart. You don't have to have a memorized prayer or anything. Just seek, and the Lord will open. And when you're connected, because you feel this divine peace. It doesn't matter what's happening in your life, you have this divine peace. Okay, even if it's in the middle of turmoil, you still have this divine peace. And when you stay there, that fuzzy wuzzy feeling, it starts to evolve and it starts to become words. And then you feel powerful. You're like, okay, I think I know what I need to do. I feel empowered. Woo! And then I said, stay there a little bit longer, and keep talking to God, feeling, thinking, and, listening. And then you can ask more about your purpose, right? Tell me more, tell me more. And he will tell you more. So it'll become sermons. And once you're used to that voice, you can stay connected always. So you can be driving in the car and start hearing all these things. And you're like, oh yeah, I got it. Okay. And then you'll be able to recognize God's voice over your voice, over Satan's voice, okay, over other people's voices. Yeah. Sometimes when you don't feel peace, you just need to know, oh, you know what? I just need to keep being in this space, pray more intently and sincerely, because God promises the peace, right? He won't lie. He will never let you down. Yeah, it's only us, and a lot of people, have a tendency to blame. God doesn't love me, he doesn't care. He's not listening to my prayers. Blaming instead of taking responsibility and saying, I need to be responsible for opening my heart and receiving. Yeah. One of my daughters, she was struggling with herself, not knowing what she wants to do. She knows what she wants to do now. But in the past, I've helped her explore different options as a mum. I just kind of said, hey, I see that you're good at this and you're good at that and you enjoy this. But it's in the end, it's up to you, right? It's your micro plan of salvation within the macro plan of salvation. So whatever it is that you're meant to do here, you will know, because that will give you the greatest degree of joy. So she was really frustrated. She's like, yeah, I know, but I prayed, but I still don't know. And I said, well, I think you need to pray some more. And she said, no, you don't understand, Mum. I already prayed. I said, no, you don't understand. You need to pray more sincerely. Stay there and do it somewhere where, you're alone. So, she waited until her sister was asleep and then she prayed. And then she told me the next day, and she was crying. She was like, Mom, I got it. I did it. I did it. I heard God, you know. And I said, see, it's so good, isn't it? Right? Sometimes we just, you know, pray half-heartedly, and then we expect all of this miracle, right? And you see prophets and leaders of the, you know, of the Bible or whatever, the scriptures, and they're talking to God, and you're like, like how did you part the Red Sea? Yeah, I don't even feel fuzzy wuzzies, you know, or sometimes I do feel warmth, and that was it. Yeah, I challenge you guys, everybody that's watching this video, I challenge you all that, you know, you can get a more conversation from God when you pray. So I challenge you to keep praying and talking to God, and you move beyond that peace. So you're still feeling peaceful, but then you start feeling powerful. Yeah. And then you know your purpose, and you continue on that path, and it's not the end. You know, you need to connect daily and say, am I still on the right track? Do I do this very small detail and this other small detail? Am I still good? You know, keep checking in, keep adjusting, right? That's the whole idea. Okay, so does that help, ladies? Peace, power, purpose, in that order.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
All right, so can somebody read this?
All power is given unto me in heaven and in earth.
Yeah, we can be empowered, and I think sometimes we pass up this declaration, this truth, and don't realize that it applies to us as well. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Yep. So how does that make you guys feel?
Safe.
Yeah, that's right. Beautiful, safe.
Never alone.
Yep, never alone. So if Satan tells you these lies, you can't do it, you're alone, then you know it's a lie. Yeah. But we need each other, because sometimes we get caught up in our self-pity, right? And in our wallowing. And we need each other sometimes to say, hey, remember this. And then it's like, oh yeah, got it. Yep. Anybody else want to say anything? Any questions? So we're at the end of our hour. I'm going to stop the recording, and then we can do more discussions if you like. Thank you guys for watching. Let's see.